I'm Hailey.
I'm Sean.
And welcome to Hailey Hates Everything.
I pick a surprise topic.
And I get high and opinionated so we can discuss it together.
So grab a snack and hang out with us for
Hailey Hates Everything. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. I'm your host, Hailey, and I'm joined by my sidekick, Sean, who's technically also a host. Hi, Sean. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing good.
Welcome back to another podcast episode 20. I'm very happy about that. It's a good number.
Yeah.
20. This is just going to be kind of a follow-up episode, essentially, to our last episode, which was all about Dune. Dune 1984 up until the point that Dune 2021 ended, and we compare and contrast. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really fun episode, if I do say so myself. I enjoyed listening to it. You know, I have to edit these things. And so by the time it goes out to the people, I've heard it at least 3 times all the way through. And we had 2 hours and 42 minutes of us talking about those things. So you're welcome, you guys, that it was only 2 hours when you heard it. I tried really hard. But I really liked our conversation about it, and I enjoyed talking about it. Who knew? Because we all know I fucking hated Dune 1984.
But she loves Dune 2021.
I really do like it. Spoiler alert, if you haven't listened to the last episode, I really, really like Dune 2021. And not because of Timothée Chalamet. Sean wanted to point out, you said you ended up liking Dune. It was not gonna have anything to do with Timothée Chalamet. You came to me like you were proving a point. I'm like, I thought he did great and all of that stuff, but I don't see how that's directly just, I like it because he's involved.
Yeah.
You made a big to-do, is all I'm saying. And no, there was nothing there.
I mean, he was the main character in the movie.
Yeah, but he's not the only reason that I liked the movie. I feel like he would have had to have a larger part in my liking the movie.
Yeah. If
you wanted to throw that in my face.
Okay.
At some point. So, anyways, I just thought I'd bring that up. It just popped into my head. I had fun. I enjoyed it. And if you guys didn't enjoy it, you're probably not going to like this episode. Because this episode, we are talking about the rest of Dune 1984, the rest of the Dune story. Sean, of course, listened to the audiobook.
Oh, yeah.
So he has some insights and extras, and we're just going to talk about the rest of the movie because the Dune 2021 stops at a certain point, and we will recap in a minute. And there's going to be a part 2. But Dune 1984 continues the story and goes through this whole shebang that we'll tell you about. And so all of that story is in that one movie, which is probably why it sucks so much, because there wasn't a lot of information given to us that makes us enjoy the film, at least for me. So anyway, we're going to talk about the rest of that movie. The story's nuts. There's a lot of insano things that happen. If you don't want spoilers, you're going to want to, turn this off, because we're going to talk about future Dune stuff.
Yeah, this is going to go, we're going to cover a lot of, stuff that's going to be in Dune 2023 Part 2.
Oh, Lord. Too many numbers, you guys. I don't
Dune
like
Part
numbers
2
when I'm
in
high.
2023.
Yeah, so what he said. So, if you don't want to know what Timothée Chalamet is going to be up to in part 2, you're not going to want to listen to what we're going to tell you about in today's podcast.
But honestly, it's going to be 2 years from now. You probably forget
so
about it.
What the fuck do you care? It's not going to spoil anything. You know what? Before I got into Outlander, I was on the Outlander Facebook group, the big one, and they talked about everything. These books have been out since 1990.
Yeah.
And so tons of people have already read them, and there were I don't know, I think there were 8 books when I started reading the books, but I'd already seen season 1 of the show first. Anyway, on the Facebook page, they would talk about all this kind of stuff. And I won't mention it in case you don't want spoilers, but they would mention all these things that happen in later books. And I'm just like, what? He did what? She found out what? They went where? What happened? You know? And I was just like, oh my God, how does any of this happen? This is insane. And then, you know, I started reading the books. I was watching the show and everything. And eventually I found out where all those different parts were in the thing. But it didn't really spoil it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Because some of those things, I even forgot they were happening. And some of those things I thought were going to happen at any minute, they were like 3 books later. So... it's pretty crazy, and I bet you're not going to remember it. So just go ahead and listen to the last one, get caught up, listen to this one. We're going to have some fun. Now let's get into it.
I was looking to 1984 again real quick, and I don't know, for some reason, I guess in our household, you know, we watched it multiple times and stuff.
Oh, God.
But I guess it only got a cult following. It actually was a box office bomb when it came out, which I didn't realize. It only made like 30 million with a 40 million budget. And back then, I mean, 40 million.
And you're telling me this like I'm supposed to be surprised, but like, that movie was shit, so I'm not surprised. You know, you said you watched this multiple times in your childhood.
Oh, yeah. Into adulthood and, you know, and stuff, too.
I think about my childhood and my upbringing, and I think, God, you know, I got beat and mentally and physically abused, emotionally abused, but you had to watch Dune like multiple times. I don't know what's worse. I think in the scheme of things, I might pick, like, I had to watch Dune every year instead of get beat, but I don't know, man. It's... Oh my God. Come on, you guys, you can laugh. It's okay. It's all right. It's going to be fine. We're going to get through this.
All right, so I guess where we left off in Dune 2021.
Let's recap.
Paul and his mom, Jessica, they escaped the Harkonnens. Duncan picked them up. They went and met with...
Well, you know, in 1984, these things didn't happen, but yeah. Yeah. Essentially, Paul and Jessica have found the Fremen.
Yes.
That is true for both movies.
Yeah, correct.
And they do find them and, you know, hang out with them a little differently, but we can kind of talk about that now because so in 2021, they've met the Fremen. They've been accepted to, you know, come with them or whatever, and that's where that movie ends.
Yep.
So in the 1984 version, instead of, you know, Paul having to kind of prove himself by fighting this guy to get in with the Fremen, they basically meet them. The Fremen are like, "What the fuck are you doing here?" And they're like, "We need help." And they're like, "We don't want to help you." And then Jessica does some little like, fighting stuff and pins dude against the wall with a knife to his throat. And then he's like, "Oh, I didn't know you could fight. Okay, you can hang out with us, but you got to teach us how to fight."
Yeah.
So that's essentially how they got in, which is like so lame compared to what, you know, happened in the new one.
Yeah.
So in the book, what was it? Was it more like the 2021?
Yeah. With one difference, when they got back to the Sietch or the Sietch or whatever, you know, like
their house, their cave house.
Yeah, their cave house or whatever. Paul finds out that the dude that he fought and killed had a wife, and now that's he's responsible for her now, and he can either marry her or she can be like his servant for a year, and then it's up to her at that point whether she wants to leave him.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That's insane.
So he's a 15-year-old boy, and he gets like a wife.
So is he responsible for her? Does that mean he's supposed to like feed her and provide for her or something?
Yeah.
Or...
He's responsible for her water.
So, okay. Well, that's weird though too, because they all have the suits on, like, right? So they're responsible for their own water. Look, in that situation, I don't want anyone else's water. Because it's made out of your sweat and your snot and your pee-pees and your poo-poos.
Yep.
I don't even want my own pee-pees and poo-poos recycled. You know what I'm saying? Like, even that would be gross. But someone else's? No, thank you. Nasty. No. I will dig and dig and dig to the core of the earth looking for water before I ingest someone else's pee-pees and poo-poos. So, fuck that noise. You know what I'm saying? That's craziness. I'm glad they didn't have that in the movie. I don't like that at all.
Well, I mean that's gonna be in the part 2 movie.
You really think they're going to do that in this one? I guess because it was in the book,
Yeah, they're
huh?
sticking to the book pretty much
God damn
on the
it.
new one.
That's
So, I mean, he chooses to have her as a companion and not in a wife way.
What does that mean? He just doesn't sleep with her?
Yeah, she's takes care of his household or whatever and stuff and serves him. But
Okay, no, he kills someone's husband. Finds out that now means that he is responsible for her and that he's supposed to, I guess, provide for her and protect her and stuff.
yeah, for
But
at least a year.
but ends up she's got to serve him? I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of a bum deal.
That don't seem right. It
My
can't go
husband's
both
dead, and
ways.
now I gotta serve this 15-year-old boy.
Yeah, like this little asshole killed my husband and now I have to be his maid? No, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what happened in the book.
Oh my god.
In the movie, they basically they go back and then
Yeah, so now we're mostly talking about 1984 here. But yeah, they just are like, "Okay, you can hang out here now. You live here now among us.
yeah,
You just have to teach us your ways." Yeah, and again it was like they have this weirding way, which we did kind of talk about. It's this voice that makes people do stuff. But in the 1984 one, it's an actual like physical little gun thing
yeah,
and their voice power. And so there's basically a montage of Paul teaching everybody how to use this voice power. And so they go, ha, ugh, yeah. And it basically makes these like energy balls that kind of, damage stuff.
yeah.
It's like if the energy from your voice could be a bullet or, a punch.
Yeah, supposedly they say something like it can do like all these different things, like blow them up or start them on fire or something, depending on what you do or whatever.
Okay.
And I was looking at it, turned out that, because like in the book, the weirding way is more just like their fighting style and stuff. And apparently David Lynch didn't want to do kung fu on sand dunes. So
Okay.
he decided to come up with this weirding module, which is the sonic gun.
Oh, but like, why wouldn't you want to do kung fu on sand dunes? Because I feel like it could really be kind of dance-like, and the sand could go up at different times, and it could be like really intentional
Yeah,
and look really cool.
yeah, yeah.
I
that
mean,
could be.
Sand isn't easy to jump from and stuff, but I don't know. I would have preferred to see them actually fight. And also, again, it was like Paul was the white savior in the 1984 one, where
Yeah.
they basically couldn't do anything. They didn't know how to fight. They weren't uprising or anything really.
Was there any people of color in the old one? I don't think so.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. And then this little kid comes and teaches them and leads them on a revolution. Like
Yeah.
without this little white kid, they couldn't take care of themselves or take back their land or fight at all.
Yeah.
And whereas one of the things that I did like about the 2021 one was that the people have already been uprising. These
Yeah.
indigenous people of Arrakis, they've already been leading their own revolution as best they can to fight back against the people who are taking everything from them. And they don't need Paul. They could like kick his ass and steal his moisture. They don't give a shit about him. But so I guess what my question is, in the book, that's probably true then, that they've already been having a revolution and stuff, and their people are stronger than what they appear to be in the 1984 one.
Yeah, yeah. And it ends up turning out that Kynes, the planetologist, is actually basically the leader of the Fremen. He's been trying to organize all of them across the world on this uprising and on the like terraforming of Arrakis, trying to get plants going and stuff like
yeah.
that. So he's kind of been leading this uprising of the Fremen, trying to get them all together for this vision of being able to have plants and everything.
Yeah.
So it kind of leaves, a power vacuum or whatever, where kinds is gone now, so they're looking for leader. And there's been all
The Messiah talk.
the Messiah talk and stuff, and Paul fits all those things. And yeah, I think he just proves himself in some more ways. Some more kind of like prophecies kind of come true, and things of that nature. And I think in the movie one, does he just like give a big speech or something, and now he's in charge?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like he was the ruler, and he was up on the balcony and all the people were down in this, hallway, and he was speaking like he was, "Don't cry for me, Argentina." That, it was that kind of look about it.
Yeah.
Then he's in charge of everybody. And I just thought that was craziness.
Yeah.
Also because he was just a droopy boy in the 1984. Like, there was nothing to him. He had no real personality, so I just didn't see him even giving off leader vibes,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. We all know how I feel about that movie.
And I guess the next thing in the movie too is like when Jessica has the water of life.
Yeah, I specifically in my notes I said nasty fetus close-ups of homegirl becoming a baldy.
Some of the imagery. I mean, of course, this whole 1984 movie, the imagery is just like bizarre, and there's like just these really weird close-ups of Aaliyah, Lady Jessica's daughter, in the womb. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just sort of like, I don't know, a baby coming out of a placenta, sort of. It's really weird.
Yeah, I blocked it out now. I can't even describe it to you except just to say nasty fetus. Yeah, I don't like seeing any of that. It's gross to me. And so basically in the 1984 one, Jessica then drinks the baby worm bile, what they called the water of life.
Yeah.
And becomes like the Bene Gesserit mother, Reverend Mother.
Reverend Mother for the...
So, like, fucking bald, and then has this big headdress on. Yeah, and like full on, she lost her hair, like right away.
Yeah.
Just shiny bald.
Their old Reverend Mother was like dying, and this process, she drinks this water.
Yeah, and so it kills the other one, right?
Yeah, but she gets all of her memories of all of the Reverend Mothers through time, essentially.
Oh, is that why she was screaming?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, she does. It's a big deal.
And that's why
very dramatic.
Aaliyah knows so much, because Jessica was pregnant and did this process, they both absorbed all of the memories and stuff.
Oh, that's why she's such a little bitch at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she's got all of the life experience in a tiny body.
Yeah, so like even in the womb, she was fully conscious at that point.
And bitching at
just
people?
stuck in the womb.
Ugh.
With like a full adult amount of knowledge and everything.
No, thank you. I also said I didn't want to see Paul get his freak on. Because he starts smooching on Channy, which was played by Sean Young. And she's one of the Fremen. And I was like, he doesn't know this girl. He can't be in love with her, even though he's seen her in his dreams. I mean, now, if I was 15 and Channy was Joe McIntyre, and I was like, oh my God, we're now in the same place at the same time. I've been dreaming about this guy. I would have thought I was in love with him too, okay? Because I love Joe McIntyre. But obviously, he's not in love with her. He doesn't know her. He just met her. But they're just like smooching up and stuff. And I don't think he should be. You can't focus on your first love or whatever, be 15 and lead a revolution of people on a planet that you have no business being on. You got to pick one. You can't do them all.
Yeah.
He just had no pizzazz. And so to see him get his freak on, it was just like, ugh, I need to look away. This is nothing I want to see.
Well, in Dune Part 2 in 2023, maybe we get to see some Chalamet Zendaya action, because you know what happens?
Sure. What?
They fuck. And she has a baby.
Oh my God. And
Yep.
he's still 15?
I think so, yeah.
So does that happen before any of the revolution stuff that we get to later on in 1984?
Yeah, basically.
Oh my God. So he just got into a whole pile of shit.
I don't think in the book they go into exactly when she gets knocked up, but when the events start to come around. She's able to leave the baby in one of the sietches or whatever.
All right, so let me ask you this. They're very anti giving away your moisture. You said they had it was a big deal for Paul to cry.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, don't waste your moisture. How do they feel about sex in that case? Because, hello, moisture all over the place. And just giving it away freely. And also in the case of birthing, do they keep all of the baby juice, the placenta, and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
How do they recycle that? Because
Yeah.
if they're like anti-tears, I imagine they would be anti everything else that has to do with, bodily fluids.
Yeah, I'm sure you gotta save it all.
Okay, so then why are Paul and Channy getting freaky then? If you should be saving all that.
I mean, he's giving her some water, I guess.
No. No. That is not how that works. I think it's a legitimate question, given that you mentioned already that they were mad that they were like, what? With the tears.
Yeah.
So it just doesn't seem like they would be loose with their own juice in that way and getting freaky all over the place. And they would be like, don't just get freaky with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think with water, being a scarcity and stuff, you'd think like birth control and stuff would be important.
That's my question. I'm just bringing it up because it seems like nobody's asking that.
Well, the whole thing's kind of a bit of a dichotomy because, like, it's so important for them to keep all their water. But then, as we find out, like, in the 1984 movie, they have these giant caverns full of water.
Were they full of water?
Yeah.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, there's like it's like black cave and there's like water and they capture the water that's in the air and save it in these places. The guy's like, we have 10,000 decaliters and we have thousands of these and all around the world. And they're saving all this water for the terraforming stuff so they can grow plants.
Okay. So that would put me in a pissy mood. If I knew, it's like if you had a fridge full of fresh veggies and stuff and you were only allowed to have one tortilla chip a day. Like, what the fuck? We've got it. We've got fresh veggies. And I can only have one tortilla chip a day? Like, that's awful. That can sustain no one.
Yeah.
Why not partake of some of your water? You can still, like, have rations and stuff, but my God. I bet they smell bad. I bet they all smell awful. Because, they got them rubber suits on that are recycling their own moisture. Mm-hmm. They can't be, like, taking baths and shit. So I imagine that they are funky people.
Yeah, I would imagine.
You can't bathe all the time.
Yeah.
Or like any time, I guess.
No.
If they're hoarding the water, they won't even let you drink it.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to wash your hair. And again, then why would you want to get freaky with someone? Y'all ain't bathed in years.
You gotta invest in some dry shampoo.
You're going to need more than dry shampoo. I wouldn't want to have sex with nobody who's crusty. That's just, I don't like that. That ain't right. Okay, so let's move on, because that idea is gross. And let's go to something that's equally gross. In the 1984, when we go back to the Harkonnens, we see that guy just like floating around,
Baron.
being gross. Yeah. And that's when they're torturing the cow body. They're ripping it apart with like saws or something. And homeboy, the big like captain of their army,
Bomb.
Yes.
The nephew.
He just pulls a chunk off the cow's face and starts eating it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
They also have a cat that's in a cage. It's hooked up to this cage and it has a rat strapped to it, and it was so awful. And they had to milk the cat or something. They had to milk the cat every day to keep him alive because he was poisoned. This guy. Eyebrows.
Yeah, so Thufir Hawat, because Duke Atreides killed the Baron's Mentat, the other
Creeper,
the other guy with the herp mouth or whatever.
When he let out the poisonous gas.
Yeah.
Tooth.
So he needed a new Mentat, so he's like, well, Thufir Hawat's a perfectly good one. I just gotta make it so he can't leave me, and he has to do what I say. And in the book, they just gave him a poison, and then they put an antidote in his food every day, so that if he did leave, they don't even tell him about it, but if he did leave, he would just die.
Oh, they don't even tell him.
Yeah, but And David Lynch decided, hey, let's get one of these hairless cats, let's put it in this box frame with all these tubes, and say that he has to milk the cat every day for the antidote.
And there was a rat strapped to the cat.
Yeah, that
I
was
just
really
don't
weird.
understand. That's very demented.
Yeah.
It all just made me physically ill with these people. And then that's when Sting comes out in the bat-shaped jockstrap thing. And
Yeah.
he's all oiled up and psychotic looking. And the Baron's like, yeah. And that's his
Yeah.
nephew.
Ah, my beautiful Fade.
Yeah. It was really disturbing. He was just so molesty. And just gross. Everybody was gross. Then we go back to the Fremen, and then Paul has to prove himself by killing a worm, right?
Riding it.
Oh, okay. Well, it seemed like he had to kill it, which I didn't understand because they worshipped the worm. It was very important to them. But they made it seem like he had to kill the worm in order to prove himself.
No, that was where he had like those shovel things that he stuck.
Yeah, I thought he was going to kill the worm. So, no, somehow he can run in the sand next to the worm, even though people like just fall into the sand anytime the worm gets near. It made no sense. So he's running like trying to catch a train, okay, next to
Yes.
this worm. And he has these hooks and stuff, and he starts, like mountain climbing up the worm.
Yeah, he takes this shovel hook thing and kind of separates one of the worm's scales from its body so that it seemed like it was an injury, so it would then try and put that part up in the air, basically, and prevent it from going in the sand. So he puts that in, and the worm just instinctively turns over so that part's on top.
That makes no sense. Everything you said to me sounded like gobbledygook.
And then he has like these jump ropes that he throws down for the other Fremen to climb up and stuff. And like these little...
Yeah, so then they crawl up the worm, and then they just kind of ride it like a wave.
Yeah, he puts some hooks and some little blowholes or something and uses those to steer.
It was really weird. It was just so strange. And yeah, so then he's just riding the worm. And I just really didn't see the point of that other than like, okay, well, the worm's going to be mad if he finds you there. He doesn't like you because you're a Fremen. He's not like into you because you can ride him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just seemed like an extra thing that made no sense.
Yeah, nowhere do they ever talk about dismounting from one, you know? How the fuck do you get away from this thing after you take this shovel thing out and it's free to go on its way? Like,
Yeah.
good fucking luck.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you just get sucked into the sand
Yeah.
no matter what. It just doesn't make sense. And
In the Dune 2021, in the new Dune, they showed someone riding a worm at the very end.
yeah, I'm aware of that. But I just wanted to know what from the book perspective. So, are the worms okay with this? If they worship the worm, why do they ride it?
Because they can. I don't know. I mean, they don't try and harm the worms or anything. They just use them for transportation.
So, yeah, not my favorite part, but it does come into play later on and become an important thing that they do that's helpful to them. Why wasn't anybody riding any of the worms except that one in the 2021 one? Is it just this part of Arrakis that they end up on that people ride worms?
Yeah, I mean, they don't.
It didn't seem like none of the worms had a rider that we saw at any point.
Yeah, there was some reason why there aren't any satellites on... Oh, yeah, there's something where the Fremen give the Spacer Guild some extra spice to make sure that they don't allow anyone to put satellites around Arrakis. I think maybe Kynes came up with this plan or something because they'll ride worms over in other places away from the main city and stuff, but they won't ride worms near the city. Nobody outside of like normal Fremen know that anybody rides worms.
So they're trying to keep that on the down low.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I guess if you can ride a worm
In the new movie...
you can use it for yourself. You don't want anyone else doing it.
Yeah. In the new movie, it made a little bit more sense because it seemed like the person riding was only like 10 feet of the worm was sticking above the sand. Mm-hmm. Whereas in like the 84 movie, most of the worm is out of the sand.
Yeah, like at least a 2-story building.
So people are going to see that versus, if only a little bit of the worm's sticking out,
Yeah.
which makes sense,
Yeah, because the dunes are pretty high, so
Yeah.
as long as you're behind some shit. Well, okay, so in 1984, at this point, that Dune, then there's 2 years. There's like another montage, and 2 years go by in which Paul is leading the Fremen Revolution. They're, I guess, riding worms around. They're blowing up all the spice collecting things.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, fuck all y'all, and they're blowing it all up. Anyway, so yeah, I too many montages, I feel, in 1984. I need more information. I just need more. It's just this montage of them yelling. They're doing the weirding way. They're going, ah, chia! And there's these energy bullets that blow things up. And yeah, they're just kind of sneaking around and taking out all of these things that collect spice.
From what I remember the book, there is just like essentially, and over the 2 years, they essentially halt spice production by destroying, all this stuff or whatever. So basically, Baron Harkonnen had already stockpiled a ton of spice, and that's all the spice that he's been like selling and stuff like that. So it doesn't seem like there's any stoppage, but they've pretty much put a complete stop on any new spice production on Arrakis.
Okay.
And there's the part of the montage or before, I don't know, something like that, is where they come across some smugglers and Gurney Halleck is with them.
Right, Picard.
Yes.
And he had the pug, right?
I don't know if he had the pug. I don't know if he had the pug anymore.
I'm really worried about the pug.
Yeah.
In the 1984 when they do find Picard. And so they have, all of this time goes by. The mom has the baby. Jessica has her baby that grows up into to be a creepy little girl.
Super fast, like grows at an alarming rate.
Yeah, like she looks like she's 8 after a couple years. Just a little bitch and a half, very precocious. She's like, fuck all of you. My brother is Paul Atreides.
There's at some point in the movie where he's like, I can't see the future anymore. I have to drink the water of life. And in the book...
he stopped having the visions?
Yeah, in the movie, that's kind of like what happened. He's like, I can't see any further. I can't see what's happening. So what happened in the book is he gets Gurney Halleck, but I don't know, there was something happened like kind of before and while things were going down in the Harkonnen attack, that Thufir and Gurney were sure it was Jessica who killed the Duke.
Oh, wow.
Because there was no way that, there was no one else who could get that close, and they thought the diamond forehead guy.
The doctor.
Yeah, the doctor. They had no reason to suspect him because he had the Imperial conditioning and all that stuff, so they were completely sure it was Jessica was the traitor, and Jessica killed him. So they get Gurney back, and then he sees that Jessica's alive, and he's like, you killed my Duke, and he goes to kill her.
Oh.
But Paul's able to stop him, but that's when he realizes he didn't see that coming.
Okay.
So then he's like, oh, I need to take the water of life, because I couldn't see that coming.
Because that's supposed to help you have all the knowledge of...
Yeah, that's like the next thing to give him more powers or whatever.
And so it actually does give him powers?
I mean, it expands, it gives him...
It's essentially like liquid extreme spice.
Yeah, I think so.
Right, because it is the bile of the baby worm, very specifically.
Yeah, and it's poison, but then someone like Lady Jessica is able to... They have this weird thing where part of the weirding ways, or the Bene Gesserit way, is being able to have like this like finite biological control of their bodies and stuff, and so when she takes this poison in, she's able to convert it so it isn't poisonous, and basically spits it back into the big jar, and makes the whole jar of it not poisonous, and then all the feminine stuff can drink it or something. So yeah, it's weird.
That's weird.
So yeah, Paul has to be able to do the same thing to be able to convert the poison into not a poison and be able to have it or whatever. So in the book, he just goes off on his own and does this. They end up finding him they think he's dead for, I don't know, a couple weeks or a couple months or something like that, until they figure out he's just in this deep sleep coma thing.
Oh.
which Cheney finally gets there and gets him out of it somehow, I think.
Is it Channy or Cheney? I feel like they called her Channy.
It's been like 2 weeks since we watched the movie, so
Yeah, there's been a lot going on. I just have my notes and my memories.
yes, yep. But
Okay. Wow.
yeah.
That's something else.
So, but in the movie, they make it more dramatic, where they take him out into the sand and tie him up with the jump ropes, and then give him some of the water.
Yeah, he's crying blood. Everybody's bleeding, and the worms come.
Yeah, he goes on some huge trip
And
and sees everything.
They're just like sitting up out of the sand with their heads up. Like they're
Yeah.
going to attack him, but then they stop.
Surrounded by the worms, and I guess the worms are praising him.
Yeah, lucky him. So this brings us to a part where apparently only men can astral project, and I don't understand why that is.
Yeah, there's something.
This movie's insane, you guys. If all of this sounds crazy, it's because it is.
It's also in the book where they're like, there's this place that no women can go, and when they expand their consciousness, there's like some place where they can't go, that only a man could go, that only the
It's basically
could go.
And where he's astral projecting is the worm toilet that we have already seen, the slimy worm croissant, where he farted out all these planets, and he basically poops from his mouth. He's got an exposed brain and a messed up little face. And he's in this giant train engine that's like an aquarium. That's his toilet also, where he poops out the planets. Well, apparently only men can astral project. And where do they go? The worm toilet. Of course they do. And I said, that's why women don't astral project. They don't want to be stuck in the fucking worm toilet. Why would anyone want to astral project if that's where you go? It made no sense. It was real stupid. And then also Paul has a lot of daddy issues. I mean, obviously his dad was killed and is no longer with us. But also I feel like, in the 1984 one, it didn't seem like they had that great of a relationship. Whereas in the 2021 one, they seem like they're kind of at odds, but they are close. They do care about each other. And so all of the time, Paul's just yelling for his father. He's just going, "Father!" all dramatically. And man, he does it a lot. He's got a lot of daddy issues.
The sleeper has awakened.
Oh yeah, he's just yelling at the sky like his dad's Mufasa up in the air. And he's just like, "Father, the sleeper has awakened." like I've done it now. I'm a man now. I'm a man, Dad.
The whole
Just that kind of thing.
sleeper has awakened thing is not in the book. That's another
Oh,
David
okay.
Lynch
That's
thing.
just all right. I got it. I understood that part. The whole sleeper has awakened part, because there's some story in the beginning that has to do with that. But I thought that this sort of callback of that was interesting. I guess, but just all the time yelling to the sky. You got to deal with your shit. You can't just keep yelling it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that whole worm party thing didn't happen in the book.
Oh, where the worms are worshipping Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was just a 1984 thing.
Yeah. Because like I said, he went
my
off on his own. He was just in some cave where he took the water of life by himself, and I thought he was dead.
Okay, yeah. So that was just all his thing. Well, here's something that I did like about 1984. Worm sign. So whenever anybody saw a worm was a-coming, they would all say, "Worm sign! We have worm sign!" Now, if you're a fan of Mystery Science Theater 3000, like we are, you're gonna immediately think it's like a movie sign. We've got movie sign. And so every time they said worm sign, I said worm sign. And I would kind of shake like the camera does for Mystery Science Theater. I liked worm sign. It made me smile. So yeah, they ride the worms to the weird gold emperor ship where the emperor has come to Arrakis. They're essentially, riding these worms all over the place because they're getting rid of all these spice collecting things. This is part of their revolution. And I guess at this point, they finally decide we're strong enough. We've taken out all this other stuff. Now it's time to take out the man in charge, the emperor. And we're going to go kick his ass.
Well, yeah,
right?
part of Paul's visions when he takes the water of life is that he sees that the Spacing Guild has threatened the Emperor, and now the Emperor is gonna come take over himself because he thinks the Harkonnens are fucking with shit. The Spacing Guild's pissed at him because he isn't taking care of what's going on in Arrakis. So he's like, all right, I gotta handle this shit myself. Let me get on my Sardica and
His
let's head
army.
over there. He beheads Raban, the Baron's cousin who's in charge, and
Oh
then
yeah.
brings the Baron there to Arrakis to be like, what the fuck's going on here, dude?
Right.
And so Paul sees that and he's like, all right, the Emperor's gonna be here. It's time for us to fuck him up.
Okay. And so they're hardcore. They're like breaking down rocks so sand falls so they can ride the worm through the rocks. And they have a way to get the worm into town because they're essentially like kind of like mountain rocks of mountain
Yeah, and there's like the
stuff like
shield. They
around.
have a
Yeah.
shield
Oh,
wall.
yeah, the shield and everything.
Yeah.
And so taking down the rocks makes it so that the worms can swim the sand into town.
Yep.
And they can all coast on in on the worms and start taking people out. And also, it's a surprise because nobody expects them to be riding the worms. So, also, the creepy kid comes back into play. What's her name?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah. And she looks like she's 8. She's like, my brother, Paul Atreides.
And so when Aaliyah gets kidnapped, that's when Paul and Chaney's son gets killed.
So, he wasn't very old.
No, he gets killed during the raid where they capture Aaliyah.
So, is that how she ends up in the Emperor's ship? She got kidnapped, supposedly?
Yeah,
I
at
thought she
least in the
just like
book. Yeah.
appeared and then went to go attack people.
Yeah, I can't remember what happened exactly. Yeah, maybe in the movie she just showed up or something. I can't remember.
Okay, so in the 1984 one, a fight ensues and the creepy girl kills the Baron. She right? She slashes him up with a little knife.
Yeah,
If
she
you
has a
follow
little
us on
gum jabar.
Instagram, it's the little gif with my face on it. I'm being the creepy girl and she's slashing him up. Yeah, and then she's like swaying with his death. Like she's so giddy that she killed him, which I get. Like he
Yeah.
sucks. He's basically the Jabba the Hutt of this movie. And she's just like, oh, but this is how I see all children. Yes, there are good kids out there. Hopefully, y'all are raising them. But I'm not a big kid fan. And so the way that she is like birth control to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want this. This is what I would assume would happen.
Yeah, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so she like in the movie she goes something like, goodbye, grandfather. Stabs him with the gum jabar, pulls the
The Baron?
yeah.
Grandfather?
Yes.
You got more to tell me.
Yes. So real quick in the
He's
movie
making a face.
and then she pulls out like his nipple tubes or something,
Ew.
and he screams and goes like flying back, and he goes out like a crack in the building and then gets sucked right into a worm.
Ugh. Gross.
So, yeah, they had to add more to it in the movie. But, yes, so I think in the book she just hits him with the gum jabar and he dies. I can't remember if they said anything else in the movie exactly, but yeah, it turns out that Lady Jessica is the daughter of the Baron Harkonnen.
What?
Yep, that's all part of the special breeding program that the Bene Gesserit have done.
Gross.
Yeah, yep.
Does he know?
That's one of the things that Paul finds out. It might have been when he took the water of life or something, but yeah, he ends up figuring out that yeah, his mom Jessica is the daughter of the Baron.
So he's the grandson of the Baron.
Yep.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Yeah, and the Bene Gesserit plan, like in the book, is that Lady Jessica would have had a daughter with the Duke, and then that daughter would have been married to Fade.
The nephew, so they'd still be related.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And then that child of Fade Ralpha and the Duke and Jessica's daughter was then supposed to be the Kwisatz Haderach.
Oh, yeesh.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oof. So who's her mom?
I was going through like a Dune prequel comic book or something,
Oh my God.
and
Jesus.
and the Reverend Mother Gaius or whatever who we'd met
Yeah.
might be her mom. Because in the comic book, at least, she had to fuck Harkonnen once already, and she had a
Right.
baby, but that baby was all sickly or something. So then I think they're gonna have her go bone him again to make Jessica.
Oh.
But I'm not sure if that exactly happened or not. But yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Well, she was bitchy like a mom to her.
yeah,
So
true.
I can see that.
Yeah,
Because she was super judgy. She was so nitpicky, just like a mom. So I can see that. Trauma. So, yeah, so we're almost done with this. So, Creepy Girl slashes up the Baron. And then Sting and Paul have a knife off.
yep.
Which, again, oh my God. Really? Really? So, I assumed Sting would win that. He looked like he was ready. But,
And he cheats. He has like a little poisoned little knife that comes out of his belt.
Sting?
Yeah,
I don't remember any of this at this point.
yeah.
This is all
But
stuff that I thought was lame.
Paul's able to do some maneuver
Weirding way.
and stab him and not get stuck.
Yeah, somehow Paul's good at everything he's never done.
And in the movie, he's able to do the sonic thing without one of the weirding modules. He just like
Yeah,
says
just
something
with his voice.
and Sting's chest like essentially like bursts open.
Yeah. So Sting is dead
Yeah.
at that point. And then Paul is like the new god.
Yep, he gets to marry the emperor's daughter and be the emperor.
Yeah, and he brings rain to Arrakis. Like it starts raining.
Yeah, that's
Like
in the movie.
like raining a lot. Okay, so that doesn't happen in the book?
No.
Okay. And then I said he is now the Cuisinart Cataract. That's my notes.
So one of the other things I kind of teased last episode was who Zendaya, who she was related to.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And she is actually the daughter of Kynes, the planetologist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So how long had Kynes been there then?
I think he'd been there, I think most of his life. I think it seems, I didn't do super deep dive into all the past history and stuff, but at least in the comic book I was reading, his dad was the first planetologist there. So I believe Kynes grew up there.
So they've been working on this stuff a while.
Yeah, yeah, because his dad was the first planetologist there.
And again, in the 2021 movie, Kynes is the black lady, right?
Yes.
The one that we really liked that ended up dying.
Yeah,
It's hard for me to remember names. I remember faces.
Kynes.
So like in Game of Thrones, when they're like, well, so-and-so did so-and-so and they're going to so-and-so. I'm like, I don't know who the fuck any of those people are. You got to show me faces.
Yeah,
And so I probably just didn't know who that was and it didn't register.
yeah, yeah. I think that's pretty much it. The '84 movie, if you did watch it, there was like
just listen to our podcast. It saves you so much trouble.
it started out with the emperor's daughter doing
Oh,
a ton of
she was-
exposition about everything.
Right, okay. And that's the one that he ends up marrying?
Yeah, but he's not gonna bone her. He's keeping Cheney as his concubine, and she just ends up being, I don't know, she has like an interest in history or something, so she ends up being the imperial historian. So that's kind of why in the '84 movie she was doing that exposition part, because it would end up being that she is the one kind of like writing or editing this history of Arrakis and Muad'Dib.
The Emperor's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Channy.
No. The emperor's daughter.
Okay. So Channy is like his baby mama live-in lover.
Yeah.
But technically he's married to the Emperor's daughter, but they're just like it's just for appearances.
Yeah, it's just for the whole power thing, so that he could, officially be the emperor without there being any
Red tape or whatever.
Yep. The Dune Messiah book is the next one.
So this just keeps on going from there
Yeah,
in the
and then
books.
and there's the Children of Dune, and then the God Emperor of Dune,
Oh my
which gets
lord.
really crazy. And I remember some of it from watching the Dune miniseries, because
What?
there was a on Sci-Fi Channel there was a Dune miniseries that
Sean.
I think that encompassed Dune and Dune Messiah, and then there's another miniseries for the Children of Dune. But basically, the Emperor's daughter starts sneaking birth control contraception to Cheney to try and make
Oh.
it so that they don't have an heir, so that Paul has to have an heir with her and stuff.
Oh snap.
But she ends up getting pregnant and ends up having twins. But then, because of all the contraceptives that the Emperor's daughter was given her, she ends up dying. So Cheney ends up dying after having
Oh my
twins.
gosh.
Yeah.
See, kids will kill you. That's what I've learned.
So, yeah, there's a daughter and a son, and I don't know, at some point in, I think the Messiah one, Paul ends up getting blinded from some atomic attack, trying to assassinate him, and then he goes out in the desert and becomes like a nomad, but then comes back as like a prophet or something. Meanwhile, Aaliyah has taken over as the regent, so she's kind of the emperor, but not. But then, like, because she's the granddaughter of Baron Harkonnen, somehow she becomes the quote unquote abomination, where somehow the Baron has possessed her.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this is too much. Like, I can get the first couple of movies. If they end up making movies of all of this stuff, this is too much.
Yep. And then at some point, there's some other group who makes a clone of Duncan, Idaho
Well, that's not a bad thing.
to get in with Paul and assassinate him.
Oh, okay, that's a bad thing.
But there's
You
some.
don't want Jason Momoa coming to assassinate you.
No.
He will get the job done.
Yeah, yeah. But then somehow, like, the trauma of trying to kill someone he loved makes him somehow remember the memories of his past life, and he doesn't kill Paul.
Oh my goodness. It's like a soap opera.
Yep, yep. And I forget if his daughter ends up marrying Duncan Idaho's clone or not. I can't remember what happens there. But then at some point, Leto the Second, which I kind of feel should be Leto the Third, because the first Leto the Second died when they captured Aaliyah.
Oh, is that what they named their first son?
Yeah,
So they named the second son the same name?
yeah,
That's disturbing.
yeah, yeah. So somehow he ends up, it gets really fucking weird. He gets something called sand trout, which are baby worms, all like kind of like attached to his body, and he becomes like immortal or impervious, and he can run through the sand really fast and all this stuff.
With worms hanging off his body. They don't call him Trout Man?
It somehow becomes like an exoskeleton.
That's too much.
But then
I'm done.
in the God Emperor, he ends up transforming into mostly a worm, except that he has a face and two little arms.
Like the worm croissant.
Kinda, yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
The
And
slimy worm croissant.
he lives for another 3,800 years
What?
as the Emperor, and he basically shuts down space travel and
Oh my gosh.
all this shit. It's fucking nuts.
Oh my goodness. I don't like any of that. That doesn't sound like something I'd be into. At all.
Yeah.
I gotta call it quits.
So
If
that's
you
the
can-
short version of what happens in the next, like, 3 books.
Oh my goodness. If you hear lots of like snorting and stuff, that's our dogs playing on the bed. They're getting antsy because it's dinner time. It's a lot of like saliva-y sounds and nose snorts, but they're cute.
So, I don't know. I'm excited to see the next movie.
I'm excited to see the next movie too. I hope they don't go into all this other crazy stuff, but you know, this next part should be really interesting,
Yeah.
especially in the tone of the 2021 version versus the 1984 version, which again, I don't think you guys need to watch it. Just just go, what the fuck, about everything that we're saying on the podcast if you want to. It's a mess. It is a true mess.
I have a feeling Dune Part 2 will probably go more into, like, how the Fremen live and, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think some more. Because they really kind of just skimmed over any of, you know, what the Fremen do in their caves and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
you know?
because I didn't understand how they had any of the suits they were wearing. Like, where did they have a place to make stuff? Did they have some kind of market where they could get the resources?
The suits are actually made out of some sort of spice byproduct or something.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Yep, textiles out of spice or, yeah, something like that.
Oh, wow. All right. Just a more realized world.
Yep.
See, I need that. It's one of the things I didn't like about the 84 one, is that we don't really learn any information about the world and what's happening. We're just presented with things that happen and then people's reactions to it. And there's not any real, like, why is this happening? What does it mean? Why does it mean this? There's nothing extra. There's nothing.
Yeah. There's like a slight bit of emotion when Picard reunites with Paul in the movie. But for the most part, there's like no emotion in the entire movie.
No, it's all very kind of robotic and just like, oh, okay, that happened. Well, I'm gonna do this now.
Yeah.
It's said just like that. So, yeah.
I didn't have a good spot to bring it up, but Paul was actually being trained as a mentat also.
Is he gonna do everything?
Yeah, pretty much.
Can he let other people do good at something else?
No. Yeah. So it comes out like, yeah, he's been being trained as a mentat. They do it secretly for some reason.
You know what it sounds like to me? Paul wants to be Chris Evans. Chris Evans, I still welcome you to the podcast anytime. But this man, Chris Evans, have you seen him play the piano?
Yeah, it's...
This guy, he can play the piano. Plus, he's fucking hot. Plus, he's an actor. Mm-hmm. Plus, he's very smart.
He's got just the cutest dog.
Yeah, he loves dogs.
Yeah.
God damn, I love a man who loves dogs. I tell you what.
Cable-knit sweater.
Yeah, he can wear the shit out of a cable-knit sweater. Come on. Yeah, so Chris Evans, come on the show. We would love to have you. But it sounds like Paul wanted to be Chris Evans because he's good at everything. I'm just saying. And I don't think that's right. Do I think it's right that Chris Evans can play the piano? No. I don't think it's right. He shouldn't be doing that. But do I love to watch him do it? Yes, I do. No shame in that game.
So they, apparently part of the whole mentat training is they secretly train you, I think, I don't know, like from birth or something. And then once you become, I don't know, of age, which I don't know if it's like 18 or something like that, then it is revealed to you that you have been trained as a mentat, and it's up to you on whether or not you want to advance that by taking spice.
Oh, okay. So it seems like he's as hopped up on spice as anyone can be, Paul.
Yeah.
So it seems like if it hasn't affected him yet, I don't think it's going to have an effect on him, right? Like, it seems like it's odd that it does different things to these different sort of races of people. And if he's doing everything, but he can't be all the races of people, then how come...
Well, apparently there's only white people, so...
Well, you know what I mean, though. It's like the Fremen, the Harkonnen people.
Yeah.
They all have something different about them.
I know,
That's why I call them races of people. They're all from different places. They all have different ways in which they all evolved.
Okay, yeah.
In different ways.
Yeah.
Because they're from these different places or whatever. And so even though they may have all come from Earth, they all have gone to different planets and then had to evolve, adapt to their surroundings in different ways. So it's not going to affect him in the same way that it would affect a person who's just a mentat versus someone who's part Bene Gesserit, part Harkonnen, part whatever the fuck else he is.
Yeah.
Who's a Messiah and a Cuisinart cataract and, you know, whatever else he's doing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just saying, like, it presents as the blue eyes, it presents as the herpes mouth in different people.
Yeah.
And so he's doing it all. And he's already as hopped up on spice as you can be. So what effect is it having on him? Is he just going to be boyishly handsome his entire life? And nothing happens to him? Chris Evans. Telling you.
Chris Evans is the Kwisatz Haderach.
I would believe it. I believe that more than Paul fucking Atreides.
All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this little offshoot from the normal Hailey Hates Everything, sort of, to the world of Dune. And, I mean, of course, Hailey hated Dune 1984. So.
Yeah, I'm still hating on stuff. So I look forward to some more movie time. We're going to watch some holiday movies, you guys. There's a few new ones we had talked about, so
I saw another new one.
I don't know how many we're going to do, but we're going to do some holiday movies for December, so I do hope that you're looking forward to that, because I am. Because there's some really crappy holiday movies. So we'll go ahead and tell you the first holiday movie that we're going to watch, and we'll have that be our next episode, I imagine. Because Thanksgiving is next week, and then it's December. So we need to get on this. Also, happy Thanksgiving to all of you who celebrate it. I look forward to it. It's one of my favorite holidays, quite honestly, because I love me some comfort food. And I look forward to Thanksgiving very much. So I hope you guys have a wonderful holiday. I hope you stay safe, but I hope you can celebrate and relax and rest and have fun. So the first holiday movie that we're going to do for December is called A Castle for Christmas. It is on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, you'll be able to watch it. It premieres on November 26th, so next Friday it's coming out. It stars Brooke Shields and Carrie Elwes, who, of course, was in Princess Bride and, Carrie Elwes. So I'm very excited. I used to have a big crush on Carrie Elwes because he was in, that movie with Alicia Silverstone, Crush? And I thought he was so hot in that one.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, come on, Princess Bride. He was super hot. Like, I always wanted someone to say "as you wish" to me.
Which I have.
Which you totally have, and it's very attractive. And I mean, Brooke Shields. You know who Brooke Shields is. So, it also takes place in Scotland, which you guys, we went to Scotland. I love Scotland. I'm not just because I'm an Outlander fan, but it's a beautiful country, and we had so much fun there, and I cannot wait to go back. But it just seemed like a shoe-in for me. Scotland, Castle, Carrie Elwes, Brooke Shields. Oh my God, let's watch it. So I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. It's going to be cheesy as all hell, but that's part of it, right?
Yeah. And then I think another one, because we're big Katie Sackhoff fans.
Yes.
Is Christmas Sale, which is Hallmark Christmas movie.
Oh man, that's gonna be something. All right, with Katie Sackhoff. Okay, I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll definitely have to do those two for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the first one will be A Castle for Christmas. So if you want to get ahead of the game, you can watch it starting next Friday, and then we'll be popping up with it sometime in the beginning of December. Hopefully in a couple of weeks. That we're aiming for like every couple of weeks here right now. So anyway, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoyed the whole Dune compare and contrast. Oh my God, it was nuts. But we had fun, and I surprisingly had a good time. I didn't enjoy watching the first one again, but I did enjoy the second one. And I have enjoyed our conversations about it, so I'm glad we did it. As we go out, I will sing the Thanksgiving Day song. Happy Thanksgiving, gobble gobble. Well, you guys, I hate to say goodbye, but we will see you next time. Thanksgiving Day is coming, so Mr. Turkey said. Very careful I must be, or I will lose my head. The pumpkin heard the turkey. I'm frightened, me oh my. They'll mix me up with sugar and spice, and I'll be a pumpkin pie. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.